Howdy folks, and welcome back to World of Tanks with the mighty Jingles. Except today, you're not with the mighty Jingles. This is DrNeckBreaker. This is a subscriber spotlight edition. DrNeckBreaker has sent me some consistently epic replays. And I felt that, well, you just deserve to see some of the stuff that he sent in. You've already seen some of it. A lot of the clips that we used in the So Much Fail video were from things that he'd sent in. But then he sent in a lot of other stuff where he does, you know, stuff like this. There's always somebody hiding in that bush. It never fails. And I do usually get a bit of a sinking feeling whenever I see that somebody is just spamming me with a multitude of replays. Because it's generally the case that they're just going for the old throw enough shit at the wall and see what sticks approach. But with DrNeckBreaker, absolutely everything that he sent in was total gold. Don't actually know where he's from. You can see that his chat interface language is German, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's from Deutschland. You know, they speak German in Switzerland and, of course, Austria as well. So, wherever you're from, DrNeckBreaker, let us know. And there's his second blind shot kill in this match, to go with the AT-1 that he nuked right with the first shot he fired. The T-18. It really is the prince of seal clubbing machines. Although, this is a tier 3 game. Look, there's an Su-76. And there's kill number 5. So, just 2 artillery left to kill. And there they are. There's kill number 6. There's his top gun. And one more shot should be all it takes to finish off this guy, get his 7th kill, and secure a nice little birders medal. So that was just a warm-up. Let's see what else he can show us. How about Object 704 in a tier 10 match on Himmelsdorf? I'm a bit dubious about the usefulness of this spot. Because, yeah, you can spot enemy tanks moving across that gap, but you don't usually see them. You know, the game engine doesn't render them until it's just too late to do anything about it. Yep, that's why they call it the troll cannon. But there's no shortage of enemies to shoot at up here. There's a nice little Jagdtiger. That IS-8 looks like he's coming out to take another pop. Okay, so he definitely got his money's worth out of that one, but watch this. That's a very, very dodgy shot of that IS-8's turret, and it's probably going to miss. But watch the combat messages. Hey! Blind shot kill, Object 261. Oh, World of Tanks. You so silly. You know, every time you fire the BL-10 gun at a low health target like that, I feel vaguely cheated. I mean, it costs you 1,650 credits every time you pull the trigger, and if you're not getting your full 750 damage, I feel that you should be able to charge your victim for the price of the shell and get your money back. Does that sound fair? I think that sounds fair. Okay, maybe that isn't fair. It'd be funny though. Actually, you know, in recent videos a couple of you have been asking about the weird... Hold on. Oh, he didn't just do that. Did that Jagdtiger really just reverse, sideways on, out in front of the BL-10? I think he did. We'll be sending the bill for the cost of that shell to the dead Jagdtiger crew's families. Anyway, where were we? Oh yes. Enemy tanks. Purple rather than red. This is colorblind mode. A couple of people have messaged me asking me to make this change because there's a lot of people they have trouble differentiating between red and green. A lot of people are red-green colorblind. So particularly looking at the map, it makes it very difficult for them to tell what's going on in game. So I'm not using a mod. You enable this under your graphics options. Just hit the tick box that says colorblind mode. And so that's why you're seeing this in some of my later videos. I still have a lot of existing replays that I have already recorded using the old red-green team colours. So there's still going to be some crossover until I've fully switched over to colorblind mode replays. But that's why you're seeing these different colours in the latest videos. Now check out this friendly Object 212A artillery. DrNeckBreaker initially almost loses his shit at what this artillery does. However, he did wait for him to break contact before he fired, and it was just unfortunate that DrNeckBreaker moved back into facehug again. But he killed it. So anyway, you've seen some amusing stuff so far, but nothing really epic yet. Yeah, let's see what we can do about that. So here he is in his ELC AMX in a tier 6 game on steps. Now, since it's only a tier 6 game, it's not like you're trying to scout in a chaffee that gets very, very harsh matchmaking weight. Gets into much higher tier games much more often than any of the other tier 5 light tanks. Tanks like the ELC get this kind of match relatively often. And at tier 6, they tend to not have the view range to spot you moving into positions like this. So he's just going to sit here in this bush, lighting up all of these tanks as they cross the middle of the field, take the shot, and then get the hell out of there. Yep, now he's been spotted. And that was fairly inevitable. Once those tank destroyers on the ridge get themselves into their camping positions and stop moving, and then as soon as he fires through the bush, they're going to see him. But he knew that was going to happen, and he planned to evacuate the second he took the shot anyway. And now he quickly relocates to the other flank, because we spotted a juicy Hetzer up here. There he is. Look at that, he went airborne. And he almost one-shots him. And I think the Hetzer's probably panicking now. But you're not getting away from an ELC. Time to go hunting artillery. Yeah, that was probably an artillery shell that we just heard going off. Arty are starting to panic. They've seen an ELC's broken through. It's gone through the screen of tank destroyers, and he's coming right after them. Any second now. Oh, there's one. And there's the other one. Two fat, juicy artillery targets for him to kill. Now, when you're moving at speed in the ELC, you need to be firing at point-blank range. So he dropped into cover behind the embankment to close the range on these guys, to make absolutely sure he could do that. And he starts going after the other one, but he spots the Wolverine coming in. Now, a lot of people would have been tempted to close the distance and try to nail the other Arty, but he doesn't do that. Watch this. And now he's going to go after the other artillery. Take his time now, he's fired and missed. Oh, no. Doesn't get the kill. Doesn't matter, he had the spotting damage. Now this is where things take a turn for the surreal. For some reason, and it turns out to be exactly the right thing to do, he decides he needs to start capping So he drives into the cap circle, takes cover behind the crates and the boxes. The crates and the boxes that you should always destroy at the start of the game when you are moving out of the deployment zone, because the only purpose they serve is to provide cover for, well, for people to do this. Now at this point it's only fair that we give a shout out to that VK3601H driver who sat there fighting off 3 heavy tanks, 2 KV-1Ss and an M6, using the wreck of that Su-85 as cover from the M6, with assistance from DrNeckBreaker, as you can see. But if not for the 3601H driver, what you're about to see would not have been possible. That guy really does deserve a lot of the credit for this. But the enemy team didn't concentrate their fire on him. They're all going for DrNeckBreaker in the cap circle. If DrNeckBreaker had not been sitting here in the cap circle, the 3601H wouldn't have stayed alive as long as he did. Instead of killing him and then rushing DrNeckBreaker, instead they keep missing their shots at Neckbreaker's ELC. But the 3601H can only keep doing this for so long. He's living on borrowed time, and there you go, he's dead. Now, Neckbreaker turns his tank around because he spotted the threat coming back up the main road. Watch this. He's the last one left alive. There are 6 enemy tanks. That is how you get a Kolobanoff's medal in an ELC AMX without having to kill anything. That is just priceless. Look at that. Scout, Invader, Kolobanoff's medal. Stand alone against 5 or more enemy tanks and win. And, you know, it was just game after game after game. Just like this. Get a load of this one. E75, an absolute monster of a German Tier 9 heavy tank. This thing is a beast. He's top tier, it's a Tier 9 game. He's here on the South Coast map, and he's going to play this very aggressively. Which, you know, is how you should be playing an E75, if you're top tier. This thing has very, very strong armour, and it's surprisingly mobile, especially if it can get a bit of a run up. The gun packs a good punch, but the reload is kind of slow. The DPM, the damage per minute on this tank, is not that good. But the upfront damage, the alpha damage, is perfectly respectable. Now, there's a T-71 who's about to have a really bad day. Now, you don't want to be turning your back on a T-71, regardless of what tank you're driving, but the T-71 has obviously spotted him, and there are some very, very nasty guns on the enemy team, so, well, problem taken care of. And while he was keeping his front pointing towards the enemy positions, that big old building actually had him covered anyway. So, no harm done. He keeps moving forward, trying to get down onto this spot here where you can overlook the enemy tanks trying to push around the beach. And oh, that is bad news to Tortoise. Now he's just fired, so he takes a punt at him and then moves into cover before the Tortoise reloads. The T-34's already taken 1 hit from the Tortoise, and he's just backed right off into his firing line again. This Stewart just went full retard. I have no idea what he thought he was going to achieve there. Anyway, all kinds of targets down there. However, the guys down on the beach cannot get up over that ridge to attack him. This Lerva, and more importantly the Tortoise on the ridge up behind him, are a threat. So he's got to kill this guy, preferably without taking any damage from the Tortoise while he does it. Problem solved. Keeps moving, because artillery is sure to be taking an interest. There you go, artillery missed. Spots a Jagdpanther. Jagdpanther, not that much of a problem. Tortoise also hasn't fired at him, possibly he's relocated. Heads back down to work the corner of the tanks on the beach once again. So we've got a Centurion, a Tiger, and an E75. Potentially, there's a 110 back around that corner somewhere as well. But, you know, worry about the targets you can see. He puts his first shot into the back of the Centurion, blows his tracks off. Unfortunately, the reload on the E75's 128mm gun is just kind of too slow to take advantage of that. He does manage to get a second shot into the Centurion anyway, but the Centurion managed to repair his tracks and get out. Was lucky to not get an engine fire after 2 hits into the rear. Moves back up, struggles a bit with the gun depression, kills the Tiger anyway. Centurion returns fire, misses. You notice he keeps moving around down here. Right, artillery is still in play. And he really needs to start doing some damage to that E75. Plants one at the side of his turret, and there he takes 2 hits. Now, one was a flank shot from the Centurion, but the serious one was the shot in the rear that almost sets him on fire from the Tortoise. The Tortoise is back in his sniping position. He hasn't given his position away, we still don't know exactly where he is, but we know where that shot came from. So he gets down off the ridge so the Tortoise can't continue putting fire into his rear, chases down the Centurion, sees the E75 turning his turret around, no problem. Deal with them one at a time. Now we can concentrate on the E75, who has his back to him. Enemies the tank, bounces his shot. Now his next shot, you can see he's trying to blow his tracks off. If instead of going for his rear drive wheel, he'd gone for his front drive wheel, as well as just immobilising him, it would have gone through and done some damage as well. But heat of the action, difficult to be too critical. Again, he shimmies, angles his armour just as the enemy E75 fires, bounces his second shot, puts one right into his commander's cupola. You'll notice there's a friendly KV-13 right at the far end of the beach, who must have put 8 or 9 shots into the back of this E75 without penetrating once. DrNeckBreaker is gonna have to do it all himself. But, you know, that's alright. 2 E75 drivers here, and one of them is just so much better than the other one. Okay, 5th kill, almost 5,000 damage done. Stop, breathe, look at the map. And DrNeckBreaker's spider sensors are tingling. He's not feeling very confident about the safety of the base. On the bright side, that Tortoise just popped up on the map again, so now he knows exactly where he is and he can plan his return to the base accordingly. But it's not looking too good. They're losing 8-10. And with that Tortoise in the position that he's in, he's gonna have to... Oh, hello. Well, alright. Why not? It would have been rude to not take that shot. Shame about the low damage roll, but, you know, it's one of the tanks. Anyway, now there is an IS-3 rolling up the hill into the base, but he's still concerned about the position of that Tortoise, not to mention the Jagdpanther. And there he is. If he chased after the IS-3, that Tortoise would have had flank shots into him all the way across the middle of the map. I have no idea where that shot went. That's one of the other downsides of the E75, in that, you know, it is a good gun, but it's not for sniping. It's very much a close quarters brawling heavy tank gun, and you know that's fine because the E75 is a close quarters brawling heavy tank. That's not to say that the gun is terribly inaccurate, it isn't, but don't be surprised when it misses shots like that. Now there's only 3 of them left, and it seems like he decided he's just going to have to live with the threat to his flank from that Tortoise and get his ass up there into the base and deal with the guys who are threatening the cap. I must admit, I would be sweating all the way up here, and you can see he keeps checking. See, he's got a line of fire at him. Don't like exposing my sides to machines like the Tortoise. The DPM from that thing's gun is just absurd. And it has absolutely no problems penetrating the side of a tank like an E75. Oh, that's bad news. There's the 110. No idea where he's been. He was originally spotted right at the start of the game, all the way down on the beach, and we haven't seen him since. Now, he missed his first shot with his 100mm gun, the second one went in. However, it's bad, but it's not as bad as it could have been. That IS-3 has gone after the old mother-in-law, the 4502P. So when we started driving up here, we thought we had to deal with an IS-3 in the base. Instead, now, all he has to deal with is a Tortoise, a 110, and a Jagdpanther. So, you know, it could have been worse. Oh wait, it is worse. There's artillery as well. And he's the last one alive. It's him against 6 enemies. How's he going to handle this? Yeah, sure enough, in my big mouth, there's the artillery. But he's actually in a pretty good position. The only problem is that IS-3. Right, he can side scrape and can use his tracks to eat shot after shot after shot. The 110 appears to be completely inept. He just can't land a shot on him. The Tortoise was the bigger threat. He's got to get rid of these guys before that IS-3 comes back. Bearing in mind that artillery has him zeroed. There we go, hit him again. He's got to start killing these guys before... There it is, the IS-3's arrived. So he finishes off the Jagdpanther, and he's starting to feel reasonably safe about ignoring that 110 at the moment. Well, he's not ignoring him, but the 110's fired 4 or 5 times and he's only penetrated him once. So did you see that move? What he's doing is he's turning this into a series of one-on-one fights. He's not allowing them to gang up on him. Now it's just him and the IS. Well, him and the IS and the artillery. Because he's out of the line of fire of the 110 now. And an E75, even on the sliver of health that he has left, can beat an IS-3 in this sort of engagement. Unfortunately, he's got... That's going to be... Well, that was a spot of luck. Okay, the IS-3 donked his shot. He could have ended the game there and then. And now he's managed to get his armour around and he can angle against the IS-3 and the 110 at the same time. They're both in front of him. But again, time is not on his side because look at the map. Now there's a bloody Tiger 2 turned up behind him. Tiger 2 bounces off the side of his turret. He's killed the IS-3. So you've got to get away, go downhill, get around these guys so he can point his strong frontal armour towards both of them. Donks that shot on the 110, but you can imagine the pressure he must be under. You can sort of forgive him for getting perhaps a little flustered. He's barely put a foot wrong this entire game, and he's done it again. He's managed to get his armour around, pointing his strongest armour right at the guns of these 2 tanks. Artillery misses him again. The 110 is never going to penetrate his turret at that angle. It's just not going to happen. Backs off. 110 cannot hit his lower glacis, does not have the gun depression. Not pointing the gun over the back of the tank like that. Oh, you have got to be kidding. Just so you know, that 110 only fired 2 penetrating shots the entire game. He only did 399 damage, and that's the guy who killed him. That last shot looked like it went right through the front of the turret. High explosive anti-tank ammo. Could even have been 100mm high explosive. Neckbreaker was on such low health that a single HE hit would have taken him out. Either way, that's a defeat. Well, you probably need some cheering up after watching that. Don't worry, DrNeckBreaker has that covered. How about an IS-7 game? Oh, here's an IS-7 game. What a coincidence. He's on the Arctic map. Obviously he's top tier, he's in an IS-7. Incidentally, if you want to watch any of DrNeckBreaker's replays, they're all up on worldoftanksreplays.com. You're only seeing a fraction of some of the games that he's posted. I have had a browse of his replay library over on worldoftanksreplays.com. After seeing the ones that he suggested I look at, I thought, you know, I'm going to have a look and see if he's had any other games as good as these, and oh, he has. He's had some amazing replays. I'll put the link to his World of Tanks Replays profile in the video description so you can browse them at your leisure. I do recommend it. There is some fantastic stuff there. Now, the enemy team have sent there's a Lorraine. gone around the flank down there? Really? That's not the kind of machine I would willingly drive down into that position over on the left, trying to flank around for two reasons. One, there's artillery in play and Lorraine doesn't have any armour. Also, the Lorraine's gun depression sucks, and if you want to shoot anything from down there, you have to practically climb the ridge and expose the whole of the front of your tank in order to get the gun down far enough to hit anything. So, well, let's just say he's a braver Lorraine driver than I am, and leave it at that. Now, I must apologise in advance for the quality of the in-game chat in this replay. The standard of chat in this game is the reason why, in patch 8.11, Wargaming are giving you the option of turning off in-game chat completely. And I know a lot of you love reading the rage in chat, and I must admit, you know, I do as well. I think it's hilarious. But I have received some criticism in the past, and yeah, justifiably so, possibly, for not censoring the stuff that appears in the in-game chat. And the two main arguments used are, you know, children watch these videos. Well, yeah, true, but if your children are watching these videos, they're watching these videos because they play World of Tanks, and there's nothing in these videos that they are not seeing when they're playing World of Tanks. You know, if your kids play this game, then nothing that appears in any of these videos is going to come as a shock to them. In fact, it probably is your kids who are coming out with the kind of crap that appears in in-game battle chat when we're playing World of Tanks. At least I hope it's your kids, because if it's adults who are coming out with this garbage, then I fear for the future of the human race. The other reason that I have been asked to start censoring the chat in these videos is because, well, a lot of people watch my World of Tanks videos. And if people are behaving like petulant arseholes in chat, hundreds of thousands of people are going to see them behaving like petulant arseholes in chat. And there is a certain amount of fear that because of the way they behave in battle chat, they could be victimised by the hundreds of thousands of people who watch my videos. And that's certainly possible. And I have no problem with that whatsoever. I actually consider it a community service from me to you. I mean, you know, if they don't want the entire world to know what angry little cock gobblers they are, then they should keep their mouths shut when they're playing a free-to-play game on publicly available servers. So, you know, for all those little keyboard warriors who play World of Tanks, who are determined to keep hanging themselves in chat, I am only too happy to continue to be the one who provides the rope. Anyway, back to the game. Nothing particularly outrageous has happened yet. It's not going particularly well, but it's not going that badly either. The position to the north is looking dangerous. They don't need DrNeckBreaker down here in the south anymore. He's left an ISU, an IS-8 and a Lorraine 40T to deal with one badly beaten up IS-8 and one 10. They should be able to handle it. The situation to the north is looking a lot more desperate. Okay, so he lies up. Now, oh, that's bad news. They've just lost the Patton. Patton has 410 metres view range. They could have used him still being alive to spot the enemy tanks coming around to the north. That is going to be a major disadvantage. What are those two doing? And why is there only two of them? What happened to the... Okay, it's going to be that kind of game. Alright. Oh, it's going to be that kind of game. Fantastic. 130mm shell. It's a T-54 in the side, and it doesn't break it in two. Some of the RNG in this match. For example, there you go. A 130mm shell, point blank range, into the side of an AMX 1375 who had 70 health. It should have knocked him into the next map, but no. This is World of Tanks. So the IS-8's dead, and there it is. there goes the ISU as well. So, you know, he left 3 tanks to deal with 2 badly beaten up tanks, and all 3 of them are dead, and the 2 badly beaten up tanks are still alive. And now he's being outflanked. And there's only 4 of them left on the team. World of Tanks. You so silly. Well, he doesn't want to sit there on higher ground giving this guy shots at his lower glaciers, so there we go. He improves his front armour angle, comes down there, nails the IS-8, face hugs the 110. 110 is going to have massive problems getting through the front of the turret of an IS-7. So that was well done. Hell, everything has massive problems getting through the front of the turret of an IS-7. So he just did in 15 seconds what 3 other tanks couldn't do over the course of 3 minutes. So, you know, that's nice. If you want a job doing properly, don't rely on random teammates to do it for you. By the way, it's worth pointing out that there's a fail platoon on the enemy team. They have 2 tier 7 heavy tanks. And the only concession the matchmaker made to that was it gave the enemy team 1 extra tier 9. Now, despite the fact that they had a tier 7 heavy tank fail platoon on the enemy team, and despite the fact that we have 3 out of 4 tier 10s remaining on our team, the scores are still even. The only thing this team was good at doing was whining and bitching and carrying on like spoiled children. Oh, that was bad. Now he just got hit by the object and the T-54E1, and now there's a Batchat 15558 behind him. Oh, he spied and missed. Okay, there's no longer a Batchat 15558 behind him. But he's still getting peppered by that T-54E1, who is out there somewhere, and he just does not have the view range to spot him. And it's around about now where things go from bad to absolutely terrible. He's stuck. You couldn't make this up if you tried. He can't move. The tank's stuck between those 2 rocks. I don't know how he got into that position. Well, he got into that position by reversing up against the one rock and then turning left. Sorry, turning right. But turning left isn't getting him out of the position that he got himself into. He can't move. Now, there are only 3 tanks left on the enemy team. They actually have the advantage. And then, oh, shit. Can you believe this? The IS-8 spotted him. He's getting shot by the T-54E1 again. But he can't get out of the rocks. And he doesn't have the gun depression over the rear of the tank. Well, from there he wouldn't have the gun depression over the front of the tank to shoot down into anything other than the front of the IS-8's turret, and you won't penetrate that. It's like watching somebody trying to get out of bed with a hangover. And the IS-8 has let him... Oh, man. Just so much fail. So he's going to do it again. Charges down the hill. Angles his armour. Shotgun. Doesn't ram him, though. The IS-7 is not that heavy a tank. It's actually quite lightweight as heavy tanks go. Oh, the IS-8's crippled his gun. And he's already used his repair kit. That is not good. Okay, from that range he couldn't miss. But the accuracy of the IS-7's gun is terrible. And now his gun's damaged. That's bad. 0.4 accuracy with an undamaged gun. It's going to be horrific now. Also, he's had his viewports knocked out. And he couldn't see that T-54E1, even with... Oh, he's been spotted. Yeah, even with undamaged viewports and a 400 metre view range, he could not see that T-54E1. He's never going to spot him now. Not alone. He's going to have to either rely on that AMX-50B to do something competent, or go and find them for himself. I wonder if you can guess which of those two options it's going to be. Oh, his spider sensor's tingling again. They haven't seen that Object 268 for a while, and he's getting worried that the Object 268 is trying to come around behind him. You'll notice he does not have a lot of ammunition left. 2 rounds of armour piercing. Then he's got 4 APCR and 2 high explosive. Come out, come out. Oh, there he is. Oh, he's been spotted again. That's the T-54E1 bouncing off him. And again, just completely missing that time. And unfortunately, you know, the 268 could not have made it easier for him, but his gun's damaged. And the IS-7's 130mm gun, even when it's in perfect working condition, has such a horrific accuracy and aiming time. As you can see, his ammo is getting critical now. He has got to close to point-blank range, or get exceptionally lucky, or have enemy tanks driven by complete idiots like that. You know, one of the three. Is that 268 to get close? And the 268 obliges. Now that was lucky and unlucky. It didn't do any damage, but it did blow his tracks off, because that shot from the T-54E1 destroys his gun, and he has to wait for the gun to repair. Blowing the tracks off the 268 gave him the time to do that. Using the wreck of the IS-8, what can I say? That's the way you do it. So, damaged gun, wrecked observation ports, 2 rounds of high explosive ammunition left, invisible T-54E1 somewhere in front of him. It's 1-on-1. The odds are not in his favour. First he's got to fight. There he is. Okay, so he's found him, but he cannot miss with these 2 shots if he's going to win. In order to not miss with that damaged gun, he's got to get a point-blank range. He can do it, but he has to hit with both shots. But in order to get there, this T-54E1 has to suck. And he does! That's it, he's fired. His magazine's empty, he's fired 4 shots. 1 shot left. 1 shot left. Reload. Game over. Who the man? Who the man? That's right. You the man. So we'll just take our 100,000 credits, Fade-In's medal, Radley Walters, Steel Wall and Top Gun. We'll just, you know, do 7,500 damage. We'll take 29 hits and nearly 14,000 potential damage received, and sleep. Thank you, thank you. He'll be here all week. Don't forget to tip your waitress and try the fish. Today you have been entertained by DrNeckBreaker, and I suspect you might be seeing some more of his games in the future. Of course, if you don't want to wait, you can always check out his replays yourself on his worldoftanksreplays.com profile, where he has, you know, all of these games and many, many more. Link in the video description. Until next time, folks, take care on that battlefield.